All right, guys, for number 14, it's just an inequality problem. Remember, if it's an inequality or an equation and we have only one variable, I know it looks like we have two variables. No, we have one variable two times. So the moment that I have with just one variable with just an x, no y's, no two letters, just one letter, then it tells me to use the 6 steps. Make sure that you understand when it comes to graphing these, you do have to understand that these signs, no line underneath it means that it's an open dot. Lines underneath it means that it is a closed dot. And remember, if the variable is over on the left and we get less than signs, these are my less than because they're pointing to the left, right? If we draw an arrow through them, then this tells me to shade left. If we got x is greater than, so these are my greater thans. They're pointing to the right. Then they're greater than, we're going to shade right. All right. And then last but not least, the most important thing here, please make note of this, is if you are dividing by a negative to both sides, we must flip the sign. Okay. That's the key. So the way that I would do this is I would always wall off my inequality sign and then go through my 6 steps. So the first step says parentheses, no. Second step says look at the left side. I'm looking over here. Can I combine those? No. Look at the right side. Can I combine those? No. And then the next one says, do you have variables on both sides? Yes, I have variables on both sides. So I'm going to pick one of the variables to move. It does not matter which one. I'll move. I'll do it both ways so you guys can see it. But first, I'm going to start with the smaller one. So I'm going to add or get rid of this 2x. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides. These are going to cancel out. I'm going to bring down the 5. I'm going to have the 3 here. And then remember, this is negative 1x plus 2x. These are opposite signs. So they tell me to subtract, keep the bigger number sign. Okay. And then from here, I'm just solving it. So I'm getting the x by itself. So I'm going to subtract 3 to both sides. And I get 1x or just x. I don't need to put the 1 anymore. Is right here. Now, before I can graph this, we never want the variable over on the right side ever, okay, because it screws up my graph. So this is where I'm going to spin my whole entire problem. So remember, when I spin it, that x is going to spin over here. That sign must spin, and then I get 2, okay? And so make sure that if the variable's over on the right, do not graph it until it's on the left. Make sure that you spin it. So then from here, what you're going to get is we're going to get x is greater than 2. So when I'm graphing this, remember, all I care about is making sure that you know that you go to 2. It's going to be an open dot, right? Open dot. And then we're going to read it. I want numbers that are greater because it's pointing right. So I want the greater numbers. Those are to the right. So that's my answer. Okay. I will redo this one more time so you guys can see it. Well, what happens if you move the 1 instead of the 2? You should still get the same answer, but it's good to kind of pay attention to this too because you'll see that this kind of leads into what we're talking about over here. So if we decide, you know what, I'm going to move the 1x over here, no big deal. Let's move the 1x. That's a plus. Okay, we're going to add straight down. So I'm going to get 5 plus. Oh, not plus anymore. Opposite signs tells me to subtract, keep the bigger number sign. So that's minus 1x. These cancel out. I bring down the 3. Then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for x. So I'm going to subtract 5 to both sides. Bring this straight down. Don't use the equal sign. Make sure you keep it less than. And then we get negative 2. Well, you see the other way I had a positive 2. Well, that's okay. I got to divide. So if I divide, I have to divide by negative 1. Remember, if I divide by a negative, this is where this tells me the sign must flip. If you don't flip the sign, I won't get the same graph. Okay, and then a negative over negative is a positive. So please pay attention right here where I divide both sides by a negative 1. I must flip the sign, okay? And then once again, now we're graphing it. It's an open dot, and then x is greater than 2. I want the numbers to the right, so we're good there.